Why do we keep choosing regime change? If regime change keeps backfiring, the question isn't why it fails, it's why leaders keep choosing it anyway. We've seen the pattern repeat. Governments fall, enemies don't disappear, they reorganize. Conflicts don't end, they mutate. And yet, again and again, regime change remains an attractive option for our leaders. So, why is that? By now, the pattern should be familiar. Removing governments in order to solve problems often creates new ones. Short term stability gives way to long term hostility. The outcome changes, but the logic stays the same. So the real question isn't whether regime change works, it's why it keeps being chosen. The answer isn't ignorance and it isn't cruelty, it's incentives. Regime change offers something politics reward immediately in the US: visible action. A leader is removed, a speech is delivered, a moment of clarity is created in an otherwise chaotic situation. It looks decisive, it looks controlled, and it allows leaders to say they acted. That matters because political systems don't reward long term outcomes. They reward approval ratings and news coverage. Regime change fits that timeline perfectly. The benefits arrive quickly, the costs arrive later, often years later, under someone else's watch. The people who make the decision rarely live with the consequences. There's another reason this keeps happening. Doing nothing is politically toxic. In theory, restraint can be the smarter choice. In practice, restraint looks like weakness. When a crisis unfolds, pressure builds instantly. Commentators demand action. Opponents accuse leaders of passivity. Waiting, even when it's wise, feels like failure. Action, by contrast, is forgivable, even when it fails. A failed intervention can be blamed on bad intelligence, poor execution, or unforeseen complications. Inaction has no such escape hatch. There's no image for patience, no headline for restraint, no moment to point to and call leadership. So leaders act. Regime change often creates an illusion of control. Removing a leader simplifies a complex society into a single problem with a single solution. Once that figure is gone, it's tempting to believe the system will naturally correct itself. But this is exactly where the same mistake repeats. Power and legitimacy are not the same thing. Power can be destroyed quickly, governments can be toppled, armies can be disbanded, institutions can be dismantled. Legitimacy doesn't work that way. It depends on trust, credibility, and acceptance, things that take time and local consent to build. Regime change often destroys power without replacing legitimacy. And when legitimacy collapses, something always fills the gap. Resentment organizes, identity hardens, opposition finds structure. What happens, or rather, what begins as instability, becomes ideology. Enemies aren't just encountered, they're shaped by the conditions left behind. This isn't mysterious, and it certainly isn't new. What's striking is how rarely these outcomes are treated as predictable. Each failure is framed as unique: wrong context, wrong country, wrong execution, rarely as the result of a system doing exactly what it was designed to do. That framing prevents learning. If every collapse is an exception, then no underlying assumption needs to change. The system resets, a new justification appears, a new leader promises better results, and the same choice is made again. Not because it worked before, but because it fits the incentives now. Regime change survives not because it succeeds, but because it looks decisive in the moment and delays accountability in the future. That's the uncomfortable truth. Until political systems reward long term legitimacy over short term spectacle, this pattern won't change. Not because the leaders don't know better, but because the system doesn't demand better. Regime change keeps being chosen not as a solution, but as a performance. And performances end when the curtain falls, not when the consequences happen.